We're on the same job again. We've discovered another coaxial cable, and if you shift your hand there, you can see there's some sort of double fold over bandage up job here, and we're just going to uncover it to see what we might see here. This is the coax cable on the way to the cellular aerial, and of course when you do this, as the frequency goes up, any sort of dodgy connection like this becomes more and more critical as the frequency rises. You might get away with this kind of bovine excrement at CB frequencies, 26 megs, but you will very definitely not get away with this kind of thing at cellular frequencies. Here we go, look at this, isn't that lovely? So anything which is disguised or covered up in tape is subject to suspicion. And here we go, here's another one we need to add to the rogues gallery. And I have no idea who would consider that, who in a technical sense would consider that to be a viable joint at cellular frequencies. We've just pulled the coax cable from the aerial back out. The coax cable obviously runs between the aerial and the radio. We just pulled it out, and we found this. We've got some insulation cable wound up around the cable here. We're just going to unwind it and have a look underneath, because there should be nothing like this on a coax cable in an install. So yep, we'll unwind it and have a look inside. And what have we got here? Unfortunately, this kind of rubbish is fairly endemic in the industry, largely because the people who undertake these kind of repairs, and I'm using the word repairs in its broadest sense, because I wouldn't consider this a repair, because people don't understand what they're doing here. Okay. So after we peeled all of this off here, we have a situation where somebody has attempted to do a coaxial join, and what they've done is they've simply twisted the braid together. There you go. And they've twisted the centre conductors together, and then they've bandaged the whole thing up in tape. Now, yeah, it might be a join, but this is really dodgy. Well, We'll have a good look at this out in the light outside in a minute, as soon as we've plucked all this insulation tape off. And this is really quite typical. If you find insulation tape wound around anything of this nature, 9 times out of 10 you've got this kind of thing happening. It probably isn't even soldered up in actual fact. Oh, it is soldered up. Hey! So we'll come outside so we can see it properly. Here we go. So we've got a join, and my first thought is it was actually a repair joint, but it's not. It's actually a join between 2 separate pieces of coax cable. That one's got a nylon, and this one's foam filled dielectric. That's a nylon dielectric, that's foam filled dielectric. So it's two actually separate brands of cable even. Now the problem with doing this kind of thing is that the VSWR created by this kind of repair, inverted commas, is terrible, and doesn't give the customer good service at all. Now we might have a look at some of the other things that I've discovered and put in my rogues gallery. I'll show you some pictures of that in a minute. But don't do this kind of thing, people. If you want to do a joint in coax cable, the first thing you can do is avoid it completely. Pull through a new piece of cable, a completely new piece of cable. But if you have to do a joint, there are proper coaxial joiners that you can crimp onto the cable to do the job properly. And what those coaxial cable joiners do is, of course, they maintain the coaxial nature of the cable, and they maintain the correct impedance all the way along. If you don't do that and you do this kind of bollocks, bovine excrement, then yeah, you're on a hiding to nothing. You end up with terrible VSWR, which then is an indication that you're actually also getting terrible service from your radio. Okay, it's late in the afternoon, which is why the sun's as low as it is. Here's my rogues gallery. Now this is a rogues gallery of people's attempts to join coax cable. Now in some of these situations the cable was joined, and then it was covered in black tape, and the worst one to find was this one here, covered in black tape, and then it was fed up inside a mirror arm on a vehicle. Now all of these things, that's a piece of coax cable, and somebody's joined a bit of red and black to it and then joined it round here in a bodgy attempt. Inside there you can't really probably see it particularly well, but there's electrical joiners, very similar to this one up here actually, except it's still taped up in an attempt to disguise the connection. This one here is some sort of chocolate block arrangement, which may be okay for a television aerial or receiver aerial of some type, but to transmit into it you would end up with exactly the same problem as all of these others in actual fact. What actually happens is you end up with massive VSWR. Now VSWR is voltage standing wave ratio, and what it is it's the forward power coming up to from the set coming up to a problem of this nature or a fault, and then the power is actually reflected back towards the set again, and it's actually expressed as a voltage standing wave ratio. Effectively what you're doing is you're limiting the amount of power that you're actually able to transmit to the person at the other end with whom you're attempting to communicate. So anyway, in short, these kind of tricks, it's bovine excrement. If you're going to do a proper join, use a proper coaxial joiner, and I'll probably do another video in the fullness of time to show you how you actually do one of them. But try not to do this, gentlemen, because it's bovine excrement.